Hey, Chad.
Hey, Megan.
How's it going?
Good. I'm eating a cake.
Are you? Are you ready?
Yeah, give me a second. Welcome to Peeps of UUMC.
Peeps of UUMC. Hey, Chad.
What was I going to ask you? I had a question.
Was it a
Now
good
I'm
one?
Completely blank.
No good one? What I have for breakfast today?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't care
Well,
about
I'm not going
that.
to tell you. Man.
No, the ice.
Oh, yes.
This past week.
Yes.
Did you have any trouble with that?
I didn't because I am from Kansas and
Yeah.
we know how to live. And I just put extra layers of clothing on, which apparently Texans don't own.
Yeah.
Like
We
long
don't.
underwear and layers and a hat. It was fine. I was fine. I like barely turned my heat on. I don't know why you guys are complaining.
Yeah, that was, that wasn't the question I was
Oh, I'm sorry. I went on forever. What was the question?
That was too long. That was
Okay,
too long.
I'm sorry.
I had a question, and now
Okay.
I can't remember. Give me a second. I'll think
Okay,
about it.
okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, well, it's a good
let's just go. Let's just get to our guests. Let's
Okay.
not keep our guests waiting.
No,
And
we have guests.
I'm
Take your
very-
time. I have lots of time.
I'm very excited. We have one of my favorite people.
A superstar.
Yeah, she's basically behind the scenes. She's
Yeah.
like the Wizard of Oz.
She is. She's the Wizard
I
of
feel
Oz.
like when I came into the church, when I started the church, she was one of the first people that was really reached out to
Yeah,
me and
welcoming.
and then I would see her name on everything.
I know.
She's on this committee, and then she's over here. She's over
And
here.
she's just here all the
So
time.
today we
hanging out.
have Diane Ireson.
Woo!
Thank you for joining us, Diane.
I'm happy to be
We're
here.
very excited.
Happy to be here.
I have to dote on you a little bit at the beginning because, like I said, Diane was she was on the hiring committee for
Yeah.
me, and she was one of the first people to kind of the congregation that I kind of connected with her. She reached out to me, and but I think one of the things that you're really good at that I think is hard. One of my pet peeves, Megan knows
Yeah,
this
yeah.
about. I love technology in a lot of ways, but it doesn't we're with the watches and the phones. We're never present. I
Yeah.
remember.
Right.
It's so easy to you go to a party or something and everybody's checking their Instagram or their phone, or now the watches are
Yeah.
alerting. So you're
Yeah.
talking to somebody and they're just glancing down at their watch because they're getting a notification, and you always feel so present.
Yeah. I agree.
And make me feel when I'm talking to you that you're interested in what I'm saying. You're here in the moment. Megan's very good at this too. Actually, that's a skill. You're not as good as
I know, I'm not as good as Diane. But maybe one day I will be.
But
I'm practicing. Always
But-
practicing.
When you grow up.
When I grow up
to be
someday.
As old as I am.
Someday when I grow up.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate that, and I think it's a
Absolutely.
skill that a lot of people could stand to hone.
There's nothing more important than being truly listened to and feeling
Yeah.
like people are really paying attention to what you're saying, and I think that's really important.
And then the opposite is true. Like
Yeah.
there's no worse feeling when
Yeah.
you're talking to somebody and they're just could care less
Yes.
what you're having to say.
Yeah.
I remember I was with this guy. I know this is not all about me and Diane.
Yeah, it is about you, I
Diane
know.
came over to hear me
Yeah,
talk.
it's
but,
true.
Yes.
But somebody asked me a question, and mid-answer, they were like, ask somebody else a question. I was
Yeah.
mid-talk, I was like, just
They didn't
felt
want to
awful.
know.
Yeah.
They didn't want to know. They didn't want to know.
Anyway.
Well, I can tell you that I must mention your name a lot, Chad. One of my favorite people, and you too, Megan.
Of course.
Because one time I started to tell my daughter a story, and I said, "Oh, I was talking to Chad. Ashley's husband." She said, I know, you love him, Mom."
Well, that answers our question.
Yeah, well, I was going to start hard-hitting journalism. First
Yeah.
question is, who do you like better, me or Megan?
That's a good. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we know the answer now.
Yeah, well,
pretty serious.
You know, I'll tell you the same thing I tell my twin grandchildren. I love you with my whole heart, both of you.
Okay,
Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Melinda.
Yes, Melinda and Pam.
Melinda, I want the listeners to note that Diane winked at me and kind of motioned that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Diane
anyway,
and Pam and Melinda are mothers, the only two that listen to this podcast.
our two listeners.
Yes.
Great.
Where'd you grow up? Where were you born?
I was born in Troy, New York, and we lived there till I was 9, and my dad was moved to Springfield, Vermont. My dad is a Methodist preacher. And so at 9 years old, we went to Springfield, Vermont, which is what I claim is my hometown, because I grew up there.
Yeah. She is a PK.
Yeah, if I called you a PK, you understand what this means?
Of course.
See, Chad, it's just you.
Yeah, I talked to Megan earlier today to do the prep that we do for
our deep prep.
Our deep prep, and she brought up that you were PK, and I was like, what? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, and I said to Claire Harper recently, we PKs have to stick together.
That's
so
true.
I got your
That's
back.
true. That's true. So a PK, for those of you who don't know, is a preacher's kid, and or a pastor's kid, whatever you would like to say. And I think that in my experience, I've met a lot of PKs, and I think that they go one of two ways. They're either involved in the church and are pretty comfortable with that area, or those that completely turn away from the church and are not interested because of their experience. And so I'm just curious kind of why you chose one area over the other.
Well, I've always said I'm an in my bones Methodist. That's how I grew up. You know, my father and two other ministers built the original cabins at our church camp that I went to first in what was a playpen in those days. Today they would call it a pack and play. But I was thinking, as you said, that I've actually done both in a sense.
Yeah.
And that when I was in my 20s, I converted to Judaism.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And I did. And I was a young social worker. I got very acquainted with the Jewish community in the town I was living in, and I found that they were there with me in the neighborhoods where I was working over and over. And I would say to them, I know why I'm here with the social workers. I know why these black folks are here because this is racial justice, these black people.
Yeah.
Why are you here? And to a person they would say, because that's what we're called to do as Jews.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then couple that with, I belong to a downtown big steeple church in the neighborhood where I worked, and had great ideas for how to bring the neighborhood in, and mentioned that to our senior pastor, and he made it clear he didn't want those people in his church.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
And so I kind of turned away for a while.
Yeah.
Where was that town?
That was in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
Met and fell in love with a Jewish man, my first husband, and so it was a deceptively easy step for me to convert.
Yeah.
And then what I realized, and I realized this when my son was born, he was the older of my two kids. One day I was looking at him when he was a baby, and I thought, what am I going to tell him someday when he asks me why I'm a Jew?
Yeah. Good question.
And what I said to myself was, the answer is, I'm not a Jew. I admire the Jewish faith, but I'm not really a Jew. And at that point, I started looking for a church in Austin.
Interesting.
And here I am at university.
It's just crazy. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I think so many people have stories of growing up in the church and having, somewhat positive or mostly positive experiences, but have experiences in their 20s where they're trying to figure out what it is that they themselves believe.
Yeah.
Not what their parents believe, not what they've been taught to believe, but what is it that I really believe, and how do I want to live that out?
And I think that's exactly what happened to me. It was, I left the church. I became a Jew, arguably.
Yeah.
By the way, back in 1971, a conversion kit went for $12.75.
That's pretty cheap.
I'll just tell you, that's what it was. And then I came back to the church. I thought, oh, maybe I needed to take a break and come back as an adult and make this my own.
Yeah.
As my own.
So when did you come to UMC? Was that?
I came to UMC exactly when Trish and Chuck Merrill came. We came at the same time, however long ago that was, 35 years, something like that.
That's amazing.
Maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
And what was it that brought you to UMC? I mean, you were looking for churches.
I was looking for a church that spoke to me, and more than anything, because my dad was who he was, I wanted strong preaching. He was an amazing preacher, and I wanted social justice. That's also who he was. And that's what I found there.
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you say that the church has, grown up or changed in the last 30 some years that you've been a part of it?
Interesting question. Grown up or changed?
Megan's the Oprah of this one, just so you know.
I really got that, yeah. What I see a lot of, and maybe it's just me, is I am thrilled about this. I see a lot more young families than I remember before. Before, I remember feeling like, oh, there are not a lot of us here,
Yeah.
my age or younger. So I think we have grown into a church where we have a lot of young families and a mixture. We also have the oldies like me. And I think probably the appeal is that young families who come to our church want a place where their kids are going to learn values that have to do with everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
And that's what we say. So
Yeah.
I love that about our church.
Yeah. That's great. It is a good thing about that.
All right. That's the end of our interview, I guess. Now, so you recently retired, you said, from, you were a therapist.
I was a therapist. I had a private practice.
In 2019, you said?
Yeah, February 1st, 2019, which was exactly to the day 50 years after I started practicing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I was a psychology major, and I was going to go the route of that, and
You would have been good at that.
You would have been good at that.
I think you would have been.
And we need a lot of guys.
We do.
yeah, part of it was just, this is a whole other theory, but basically, I don't think anybody should be trying to nail down what they want to do for the rest of their life at 18, 19.
That's why I have a job.
True. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's really true.
I wish we could normalize, like, going out into the workforce and coming back to college. Because I feel like by the time I hit, 24, 25, I started to figure out.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of respect, and in the family there's a lot of therapists and stuff like that. But do you feel like that equipped you to deal kind of with some of the hardships psychologically, emotionally that came with this pandemic? I know we've turned to you a lot and asked questions about self-care and all that stuff.
Quite possibly. I was thinking when you were saying that initially, what I said to both of my children was choose work that you love because you're going to be doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you find out you don't love it, choose something else. And I mean that. And part of what I liked about my degree is social work. I have an MSW. Is it's so varied.
Yeah.
So I started out as a school social worker. That was in Peoria, where I had a neighborhood and I had 10 schools. Can you imagine one social worker?
Oh my
A high school, a junior high, 7 feeder schools, and 1 school of nothing but trainable mentally handicapped kids.
Wow.
And then from there, I moved to Texas, and I was a therapist at what was then the Brown Schools, which is a very well-known nationally residential treatment center. Had a dorm of 10 to 14-year-old boys and a staff.
Wow.
And then I stopped to have my first child, and I started a small private practice out of my home while I did that. So I liked the variety.
Yeah.
Did it help me with the pandemic? I'll tell you what helped me with the pandemic was, number one, I like my husband.
Ain't that the truth?
That works really well. And Zoom allowing me to have some social connections because it would have been hard otherwise.
Are you still doing the Zoom stuff, or are you kind of burned out?
No, I'm not burned out because I think people who have had to work with Zoom day in and day out for hours get burned out with it, but I have only used it as my social outlet.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
it's a very different deal.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Where do you think your therapy work and your faith belief system how did those things marry as you were working all those years as a therapist? Where do you think those things met?
Yeah, I think that my beliefs as a Christian person, as a Methodist person, shaped who I was as a therapist.
Yeah.
It was not uncommon, and I think most therapists face this, for people to come in and say, are you a Christian therapist?
Yeah.
And what I always say is, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian and I'm a therapist, but I'm not a Christian therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that just the grounding I personally get from being part of a faith community that challenges me, that holds me, really helped me in my practice to be able to be there for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm so intrigued by people's stories. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the perfect job.
That's why
for
we're doing
me.
this.
Yeah.
You know, I love people's stories.
Yeah.
And while there are similarities that you can point to, and there are diagnoses that have certain, everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
And it was such a privilege. I tried to never lose sight of it. It was such a privilege that people came with their biggest hurts
Yeah.
and their joys and their fears and their senses of inadequacy. That is an incredible thing to offer to a therapist.
Yeah.
And we need to always remember that and honor it, is my belief.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very true. So, Diane, what has been the best part of retirement and kind of the hardest part of retirement? Obviously, you would have had a very different experience had COVID not happened right after you retired. But
Right.
I'm just curious, as someone who was in the same profession essentially for 50 years, I'm sure there's things you miss about it, things you don't miss about it. But I think it's fascinating to me as a person that's fairly far from retirement at this point. But my parents, have retired. And so it's interesting to see the things that they miss and things that they don't miss. So I'm just curious about that. What happened for you?
I miss my clients.
Yeah.
That's number one.
I bet.
Because I really loved them.
Yeah.
And if I didn't work with them.
Absolutely.
By the way.
Yeah,
If I
absolutely.
found, I had and I miss my group.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The seven of us were still together now.
Yeah.
And luckily during this pandemic, everybody's practicing in their house.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's a good thing about retirement.
Yeah.
So every other week now we just Zoom and talk to each other, and so I have that.
That's wonderful.
But if I couldn't find a connection with somebody, I would bring it to our case consultation, which we had every week.
Yeah.
And we would take turns presenting work that we would disguise. And if I couldn't come to like the person, I would refer them on.
Yeah.
And what I tell them is, I really don't think I'm the best person to work with
Yeah.
you on this. I would say,
Yeah.
for some reason, I don't like you.
Because you're the worst.
Well, that's good, Diane. My goodness.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a quick study. I wouldn't do that. Anyway, but I miss my clients.
Yeah.
I miss seeing my practice group.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss that routine. My two partners and I still own our building, so I have that connection.
That's good. Yeah.
What I love is the freedom of having a wide open day in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And doing whatever I want with it,
Yeah.
and having time to help with my 6-year-old grand twins.
Yeah.
And knowing that if the kids need something in terms of, Mom, can you cover it?
Yeah.
I got a lot of time.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So I love that.
That's good.
I love that. I love that Roland and I have similar rhythms,
Yeah.
which works really well.
Yeah.
The other morning, Lindsay, our daughter, has been during this time coming over and working downstairs in our house so she can just get away from her house and not see everything she feels she needs to do.
Yeah.
And she walked in and we had on classical music and we're drinking our coffee and reading our papers at 9:00, and she said, "I want your life." So,
Yep.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
What I miss with the pandemic is
Yeah.
we would be traveling a
Yeah.
lot more.
Yeah.
And I look forward to that
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
What you read a lot? Megan said
Yeah.
you're a big reader. What are you reading anything right now? Or?
I'm just starting an Agatha Christie. I love Louise Penny.
Okay, yeah.
I love mysteries, murder mysteries. I love her enough that I'm on her monthly newsletter list.
That's a dedicated fan, right
That's
there.
a dedicated fan. I want to go up and see where she lives in Canada. But she occasionally will mention books, and she mentioned what was arguably the best Agatha Christie book ever. So I just ordered it, and I've just started that, and I'm kind of
Good.
curious about it.
Yeah, that's great.
What's that? Those shows Kenneth Branagh's in are those Agatha Death on the Nile?
Those
Yes,
are
those are
Agatha
Agatha
Christie,
Christie.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Do you watch any of those?
I don't.
No.
The first one was okay.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think it's,
but
I think
the
it's
new
pretty
one
good.
just
Yeah,
came out,
definitely.
yeah.
not
And
something
I
yet.
love The Lincoln Highway. If you haven't read that, I highly recommend that.
Lincoln Highway, no,
That's
I
it.
haven't.
The guy that wrote Gentleman from Moscow.
Oh, I heard that's really good. I haven't read that either.
Towle, Towle, I think his last name is. fabulous book.
Okay,
So
that's
I
good to
read a
know.
little bit of everything.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
fiction,
good.
nonfiction.
Yeah.
You watch any television? You watch anything right now?
You know, we've watched several things. I'll tell you what we're watching now.
Tell me.
They got no mediocre reviews, but we both love it. Is Reacher.
Oh.
We're watching.
You know
that
what?
on
It's on the Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got mediocre reviews.
Yeah.
But you know what's nice is when we find something we both like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there'll be something I really like.
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we're watching right
it's
now.
on my
good.
list. It's
That's
on my
And
list.
they're going to do a short series eventually on Louise Penny's Mysteries.
Oh,
I can't wait for
fun.
that to come out.
Yeah.
Sometime this spring.
That's good.
What's the mystery you and Ashley watched? They were books. I think you watched them, and they turned it into a series, maybe on the BBC. Striker.
Oh yes, CB Strike.
CB Strike.
Yes, it was the books that were written under the pseudonym from J.K. Rowling. I can't think of her.
Oh, okay.
They were.
But it's
were-
murder mystery.
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean, it's sort of murder mystery. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
falls under the Ashley likes it, I don't
Yeah.
category. Right? We started watching it. And I was like, no, no, I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. It's you didn't care for the actors.
Well, yeah. I don't know why I'm hesitating. Like they're going to listen to it. I thought the main actor was just. I couldn't get no. I just didn't buy
That's
anything
funny.
from him.
That's
You know what we did a couple weeks ago that was so much fun was we had a Sidney Poitier festival.
Oh, fun!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Watched
she's
some-
coming to
so
dinner.
good.
a bunch of Guess who's
So
coming to
good.
dinner? To Sir with Love, which always makes me
Yes,
cry,
yes.
as soupy as it may be.
Yep,
I just
that's all right.
and fabulous in the heat of the night.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
very good.
With Rod Steiger. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
My mom told me the other day that
Shout out to Pam.
shout out to Pam that Sidney Poitier was her first kind of crush, like big crush.
That's cool.
You
she
know,
loves Sidney Poitier.
my first crush, hugely, was Johnny Mathis, and I was so crushed to learn that he was gay.
Chad is not a Johnny
Johnny
Mathis fan.
Mathis. Well, here's my
Oh my
problem with
God,
Johnny.
I loved him.
What
is wrong with you, Chad?
That's what I'm saying. What is wrong with music?
Here's
It's so fun.
My problem with Johnny Mathis is Christmas music. I'm very traditional in that you're singing a song, I want to sing along with it, and Johnny Mathis, he does that thing. You know what he's the equivalent of? He's the equivalent of the jerky friend when you're on a road trip and you're jamming.
Okay, now you're offending me. Now you're offending me.
Right,
Chad.
right at the chorus, they turn down the radio and like catch you singing off. That's what Johnny Mathis
terrible.
does.
It's terrible.
It changes the melody.
The
You know,
Christmas music is so
different
good.
strokes.
Yep,
Different
that's
strokes.
true. That's true. That's true.
I spent many hours in my high school years in the basement of our house with my can't see this.
Yes.
With my Johnny Mathis music on like this.
Oh, Diane is holding a pillow and swaying at the same time.
She's dancing
Friends,
with
she's dancing.
a couch pillow.
Dancing with the couch pillow. It's very,
she's
very
imagining
nice.
Johnny Mathis. We watched Coda last night.
Yeah.
Speaking of crying, man, so good. I don't know if you've
I haven't seen it.
So the Oscars nominees came out, and I tried to make a point of watching.
Yeah,
all
I
of
do
them.
too. You know,
I recommend
what
it.
I think the best movie that I've seen this year is Belfast. Have you
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list.
Also nominated. Yeah,
Oh
we
my
rented
gosh.
it, but we haven't watched it yet.
Oh my gosh.
Very good.
It's
Another
wonderful.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very
And
good.
it's pretty much his story.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. I think he was nominated for writing it as well.
Yeah, he right.
Yeah.
I think he was nominated in like 7 different categories.
That's amazing.
Great.
And Judi Dench is amazing.
Oh,
She's
she's
the
so
grandmother.
good.
Dame
She's
Judy.
so good. So
Yeah.
good.
But
Yeah, that's on the list.
Anyway,
Yes.
off we go on movies.
I forgot.
Yeah, I could go on a.
Diane, so my grandma Marilyn always told me whenever I moved to a new city, go to church, you'll find friends. That was always her suggestion. If you're moving to a new place, you don't know anybody, go find a church, you'll find some friends. How has that worked for you in creating community here in Austin through your connection to UUMC?
Well, I was trying to think about that. I mean, because it was a few years after I got here.
Yeah.
But now, how does that work?
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, I'm proud to say that University Methodist has a reputation among the circles I travel in as being a fabulous place and a fabulous church. And all you got to do is mention that you're a member there. And usually the response I get is, "Oh, I hear that's a tremendous place." And
Yeah.
I always say, "Why don't you come see?"
Yes.
But so Just it's admired.
Yeah.
And we have such good friend groups in the church.
Yeah.
Our Sunday school class, which we were in at the beginning when we first started.
Yeah.
We've been through so many things together.
Yeah.
So many things together, good and bad, and powerful. One of the most powerful for me being when Carol Nealand was dying of cancer, Dave McNeely's wife, at that time. And we were her hospice team. And
Wow.
the feeling is just, no matter what is ahead of us or ahead of me, none of it's ever going to be alone because we've got that community.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really important. I love that. Chad, so we move on to our rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire questions.
Dun dun dun. Rapid fire questions.
Okay, so we have these and it's partly out of a lack of creativity between me and Megan.
I mean, I have more than he does, but I will admit
that's
it.
probably true. Partly lazy, but partly. Did you ever watch Inside the Actors Studio? Remember this old show, James Lipton? It's a school out in New York. Anyway, he ended every interview. He had questions, and we were talking about doing this based on that, and we tried to come up with questions, but none are better than his questions. So we're just going to steal.
And you know who does that now is Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
Oh, he does.
Yes.
Okay. Same idea. Maybe we should. I don't
know them. Yeah.
Maybe his are better. You'll have to tell us.
Maybe. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. And you know.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah. What is your favorite word?
Grace is what came to mind. I don't know.
Good.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
What's your least favorite word?
Can't.
Good.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Watching my grandchildren play.
What turns you off?
Watching people trying to better each other at how incredibly spiritual and Christian they are.
Yeah, that wins. Yeah. What sound or noise do you hate? Or love, I'm sorry.
What sound or noise?
Do you love?
I like the cry of a newborn baby.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
My neighbor revving his car.
That's fair.
That's good. I like that.
What is your favorite curse word? Okay. It's a good one.
You win.
In fact, I said that very quietly the other day when the kids were around because I was just at my wit's end. And Betsy said, Nana, you said the F word.
That makes me so happy.
We'll put a pin in and come back to that. But what profession would you like to attempt other than
The one you had.
Acting.
Acting.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about a profession you would not like to attempt?
Teaching school.
Especially now.
Yeah,
it's
no.
very
I
hard.
admire teachers so much,
yes.
and I don't know where I get the energy for what they have to do.
Patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you arrive at the pearly gates, what would you like to hear God say to you?
It was good enough.
It's good enough. I love it. We should just not this. We did the first episode. We did this episode, and then we should quit while we're at it. Because I don't know that it's getting better.
It's not going to get better than this. Oh my god.
I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of raggedy.
No, this is great. This is great. Diane, I'm so grateful that you have spent this time with us here in the living room. I am such a big fan of yours and of your support of the staff and of the church and the great work that you do. And it's so good to hear your story and how you're connected to our church and how that's impacted your life. I think that's what Chad and I hope to do with our podcast, is to connect with people and help them to share their stories in a way that we can connect to, even though we're not all together right now. So thank you so much for doing that. Chad and I appreciate that.
Yes,
My pleasure.
100%. No, I just echo everything.
Yes.
Megan said.
As you should, because it's right.
She's right.
Yeah,
you are one of my
obviously,
favorite
all the
people.
time.
And as I said at the front end, you've always made me feel very welcome and
Supported,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Very good at that.
we're so grateful that you came
Yes.
and joined us.
Yes.
Oh, I had a great time, and
Good.
it was my pleasure. And I have to confess that I was really honored that you asked me.
You're the second guest. So basically,
you are.
it's because you're the Wizard of Oz.
Yes. Yes.
It's
yes.
Teresa,
Yeah.
the senior pastor.
Yeah.
But then the second guest,
Yeah.
who really runs the show.
I mean, it's Diane.
it's Diane.
Obviously.
So nice of you
So-
to say. I mean, another quote from my granddaughter Betsy. I do this a lot.
Yeah.
And Teddy says wonderful things too. But her mother was frustrated with her job one day and was, so hard. And Betsy said, "Well, Mom, when you stop doing your job, you can work at the church like Nana does." So that's her perception.
Yes. What a good idea. I like it. Church ladies make the world go round.
Make the world go round.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Megan, what are you doing for the rest of your weekend?
The rest of my weekend, I'm going to work today,
Yeah.
obviously. I'm going to go get supplies for our Super Bowl party this weekend for the college kids
wow.
in a game that I don't care about because my team's not playing.
Me
But I'm
either.
cheering for chaos in the game.
Chaos.
I'm cheering for the commercials, and I'm cheering for a halftime show that's fun to watch. So that's what's happening. Preparing for that, preparing for Sunday school.
I'm for Cincinnati, and
Wow.
no, got to tell you, this is what I do. Is we get to this point,
Yeah.
I don't really have a team anymore since Drew Brees
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in high school about the same time my son was, and he was the sweetest kid ever. So I was always a Saints fan. Now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But when I watch the games,
Yeah.
and I see which teams speak to me.
Yeah.
Who am I drawn to? So it's got to be Cincinnati.
Okay, well, that's good.
It's not LA.
I mean, you are entitled to your opinion.
Well, I don't really even know anything about them except the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. What about you, Chad? What are you doing this weekend?
It's Olivia's birthday
Oh, Olivia.
today. She's
How old is she?
10.
No.
Double digits.
It's her golden birthday
Wow,
today.
10. I can't believe
Double
that.
digits.
So,
And her golden birthday,
yeah. And, which I didn't know golden birthdays were a thing.
I've never heard this.
When you're
You
born,
haven't heard that?
What day were you born?
The 9th.
So your 9th birthday would have been your golden.
okay,
So I
okay.
was born on the 30th. My 30th birthday was
Oh.
Ashley actually introduced me to the concept. I didn't know it was a thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
I was born on the 20th, as was Ro, and I have the same birthday.
Oh, that's amazing.
The exact same birthday?
Yeah.
Like the same day?
Well,
Month?
I always say we have the same birthday, but he's much older.
Poor Ro. That's terrible.
But so we're going to do that. My mom's on her way with my cousin.
Aww.
My niece, Olivia's cousin. And then my sister and aunt will come tomorrow. And
That's
we're
great.
going to cook out burgers.
Celebrate that girl.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Happy birthday, Olivia.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I like her energy a lot, by the way.
She's good.
She's a real sweet kid.
She's
Real
a very
tender
good
heart.
kid. Yeah.
I mean, I end up getting drawn to certain kids in the
Yeah.
church, and I could get myself in big trouble because I'll tell them that in some way.
Yeah.
And I said that to Elliot McFadden's Clara.
Yeah.
I loved her energy.
Yeah.
And I said something like that to her one day, and she just looked at me like, "Who's this weird girl?" So I thought,
Well, it's kind of like at the beginning of this podcast when you said that I was your favorite.
Yeah,
Mary Claire.
whatever.
All right, we'll see you next week. This has been great. Goodbye.
Thanks, Chad.
Let's just tell some jokes or something.
Okay. What did the peacock say when it walked into the bar? I don't either. That's as far as I got. I was looking at the peacocks on the wallpaper.
oh, you
were
there's
making
no
it.
way.
I was just making it up. Yeah, I have no idea. I thought something would
real
come to me.
irritating.
I know. I'm really sorry.
Because I now I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Well, you have to come up with the rest of the joke. I started it. You have to finish it.
not how this game works.